So today we're going to talk about calculating withholdings. So withholdings are what they take out of your paycheck. So when you go to a job and you start working and you get paid $8 an hour, when you get your first paycheck, you are not going to see 8 times however many hours you work that week. That they're going to take out your deductions that you owe to the government. So gross pay, what is gross pay? Well, that's actually what you get paid before they take out deductions. Before deductions. Before here is the key word. Well, what are your deductions? Your deductions are the money that's subtracted from your paycheck to help pay taxes, Medicare, Social Security, so that's from your gross pay. So what do you call it after they take out the deductions? Well, that's when net pay comes out. This is what you get to keep, what you get to take home, what you get to pay all your other bills with. Welcome to adulthood. They take your money for taxes. Taxes are good things. Helps pay for education, the roads kept up, policemen, keep us safe, all that. Everything that's necessary to keep our environment safe for us. So net pay, you get net pay, so what you take home afterward, by taking your gross pay and then you subtract your deductions. So for example, let's look at example number 1. Arnetta's monthly gross pay is $4,200 or $4,200. Federal withholding is 16% of her paycheck. All her other deductions total $321.30. Find her net pay. So again, net pay equals gross minus deductions. So we're going to take $4,200 and we're going to subtract her deductions. Well, how do we find her deductions? Well, they're going to be 16% of her pay. What does 16% of mean of? Well, of means multiply. So we need to find out what's 16% of 4,200. So 16% of 4,200, when you multiply 4,200 by 0.16, you get 600. This is not writing. 672. So this is how much deductions they're taking out of her paycheck. So now we have 4,200 minus 672, which gives us $3,528. But that's this number right here. Let me get a different color. Only represents the federal withholding of 16% of her pay. She also had other deductions, such as maybe health care insurance, maybe a retirement fund. So we need to also subtract $321.30 from that, which should give us $3,206.70. So we took her gross pay. Let me get a different color highlighter now. Let's do pink. her gross pay minus her deductions. Her deductions were $672 and $321. And so her total pay that she gets to take home after she worked all that time is $3,206. Let's look at our second example. So for our second example, Quinn's gross monthly income is $2,050. Federal wants to do 11.4% of her gross pay. Other reductions are that, so find her net pay. So remember, net equals gross minus deductions. So her gross is $2,050 minus her deductions. Well, her first deduction is 11.4% of $2,050. And then her second deduction is, and I'm going to run out of space right here, so I'm going to write it just underneath, $156.83. Well, 11.4% of 250 is 233.70. Remember, when we multiply percent of the number, we change that percent to a decimal and then just multiply. And then you also subtract 156.83. So after you subtract all those numbers, her net pay, the pay Quinn, not her, well, Quinn might be a girl. I guess it is, it says her. Her net pay is $1,659.47. Well, now let's talk about how to calculate income tax. So taxpayers may pay a standardized deduction by the Internal Revenue Service, or they may itemize deductions, such as property taxes are expensive. So what the IRS does is that during tax season they decide, hey, you owe us this money, but you also get to take away this much money because certain things you don't have to pay taxes on. So income tax is the product of the tax rate and taxable income. So what is your taxable income? Well, it's called an income tax. And you get your income tax by saying your tax rate times your taxable income. Well, how do you get your taxable income? Your taxable income is just your monthly income or your net pay times 12. So, what does this mean? Let's look at an example. So, after deductions, Jonah has a taxable income of $26,312. He paid already a total of $4,059 in federal withholding. Find the tax due on Jonah's income, then tell whether he will pay an additional amount. So use the tax table above to find the amount of tax due. So his amount of tax due in this table, let me get a highlighter. Jonah makes $26,318. So in this table, that falls right here. If it's at least $26,300, but less than 26,350, then you owe this much. So the amount of tax due is 3,516. Well, how much tax withheld? Well, he already paid 4,059. Well, 3,000 is less than 4,000, so did Jonah pay more than he owes? Yes, he did. He paid. Now, how much should he get a refund? Yes. How much refund should he get? Well, that's easy to find. They just take how much you paid already, and then they subtract how much you should have paid. So Jonah should get back in a check $543.